All right. Good morning, everybody. I'm Jennifer Wheelahan from the Central Rhode Island Chamber. For those of you who don't know me, I'm the Director of Membership and Marketing, and we appreciate you guys being here this morning. We're excited to have our second mini workshop with the Spark Social, Nicole and Alicia. And today they're going to be talking about Instagram and your business. At the end, we're going to give you a couple of updates on things that we have upcoming, including the third installment of this mini workshop, as well as a couple of networking things if you're interested. So if you guys want to go ahead and take it over.
Sure thing.
Absolutely. All right. So before we share our screen, thanks everyone for joining, and thank you so much to the Chamber for hosting us. So this wouldn't be possible without the Chamber because we probably would just keep putting it off. But Jennifer locked us into some dates and told us that there was a lot of people who wanted to talk about social. So we're happy to be here. A little bit about the Spark Social. We are based out of Providence, working from home today. Actually, Nicole, you're in the office today, right?
I am, yes. I had to come to the office, so.
So we are a digital marketing agency that focuses on social first, and we believe our mission is doing good socially. So what does that mean? It means, putting our clients first, but also putting our team first. Helping the Rhode Island community is really big for us. So we love being part of things like this with the Chamber. We also work with Venture Cafe, if anybody is familiar with them. But just kind of trying to get out there and help local businesses is our main goal. Nicole, anything else you want to add about the Spark Social?
We're really awesome people.
So we welcome anyone when networking and stuff is back in person to, stop by the office anytime. It's over by Long Live in Mead, if anybody is familiar with that area in the west side of Providence. So
yes, hopefully we'll be able to host Brews and Business again, sometime in 2021.
And I welcome everybody to pop their information into the chat. If you want to network or anything like that, just feel free to share your name, your email, your business website, your Instagram handle. We'll follow you back. But without further ado, we're here to talk about Instagram today. We have a lot to cover. I really do want to keep it to 45 minutes so that we can answer questions at the end, because we get a ton of questions on Instagram. That's why we wanted to focus on this specific platform out of the many social channels out there. So if someone will just keep, I don't have my,
I'll keep an eye on the chat.
Yeah, I lose track too. So a little bit about what we will cover today. Nicole, I'll let you take it away. I'm going to change it to presentation mode.
All right. So the type of things we're going to cover today, just a little bit of an overview of Instagram. We were told that we have a lot of different businesses here today, so we're super excited about that. So we're going to try to cover everything from how to use it as a service-based business to how to use it as a product-based business, retail, food, all of those different, trying to answer as many of those different questions as possible. But like Alicia said, Instagram is a very robust platform and we have a lot to say about it. So you might come away a little bit with your head spinning, but that's okay. We're always available to answer questions now and later. So people often come to Instagram to be inspired or discover things that they care about, whether that be a product, fitness, fashion, different things like that, or social justice causes and other types of entrepreneurship groups and things like that. So 60% of people say they discovered a new product on Instagram, and they are actually also just as likely to buy it in app as they are to visit your website. A third of the most viewed stories are actually from businesses. So, people are keeping up with their friends, but they really want to understand what the businesses and brands that they're most passionate about are doing. And a lot of times they get that from behind the scenes in Instagram stories, which we'll talk about. You get access to 200 million plus Instagrammers on a daily basis. Obviously, you have to do the work and put in the effort to get those kinds of numbers seeing your stuff, but we're going to talk a little bit about how to do that. And 80%, there's been an 80% increase in people watching video on Instagram, and nobody's surprised, I'm sure, if you follow any sort of anything that marketing information, that that video is sort of king right now. So, go ahead.
All right.
So by the numbers, Instagram skews younger. And what I mean by that is where Facebook is probably more evenly distributed amongst the demographics, so we're starting to see it skew a little bit more towards your, grandparents. Um, your Instagram definitely still skews younger. You've got, that 13 to 17, I would say they're starting to play with TikTok more, but that's a whole other story. But you're still looking at that core group, especially millennials, which as most of you probably know is your largest buying group right now. Primarily urban users, and still skews primarily are heavily female. So they tend to be higher education, and they tend to actually be a little bit more solvent and wealthier. So, a couple of things to keep in mind. So industries that it works really well for. So this isn't just like, it's not who it's for and that's it. It's industries that do perform really well, sort of in a natural sense, where it's not super difficult to come up with content or come up with a following and things like that, would be e-commerce and retail, food and beverage. So, I mean, you guys all know you've been sitting in the shop, but we do it too when we could sit in restaurants and you see somebody like, taking pictures of their food and they're doing this and you're like, what are they doing? Rhode Island has a huge and very engaged food world, as we all know, and food bloggers are really big here. That's true of everywhere. You also have heavy emphasis on beauty brands, lifestyle brands, which if you're wondering what a lifestyle brand is, we'll cover that a little bit. But basically, if you think of somebody that just has a really you just really like their life. You're like, that looks really cool and I want to be like them. Coaches, life coaches, health coaches, business coaches, they all do really well on Instagram. It's about that conversation. Subscription services, so boxes and things like that. And B2C services tend to do really well, though there is space for some B2B, and we can talk a little bit about what that looks like.
So I don't think we want to go through each stat because we have a lot to cover today, but just in a nutshell, Nicole, what would you say is the most important thing people know about Instagram?
So Instagram is really great for brand trust building. And if you understand marketing and you understand branding, you know how important brand trust building is to your overall experience with your customer.
So you're saying I shouldn't go on Instagram, Nicole, and just say, sign up for our social media services now?
God, no, please don't. You're not on Instagram, and really you're not on any social media to sell yourself. You're there to start a relationship and build that relationship with your clients.
All right, I'll delete that post I have scheduled for today. Just kidding. So the main parts of Instagram, when you break it down to a technical, look at the pieces, it's not super complicated. You really have your profile, which is, the information you get to fill out. There's not a ton you can put there. The grid, the feed, so that is, your feed is basically what you scroll through, and the grid is your pictures that live on there. Stories are Instagram's answer, and we'll get into these a little bit more in detail, but stories are the little highlights that sit on top of your profile, or when you log into Instagram, you'll see them directly at the top. They are Instagram's answer to Snapchat, which they took off quite well. IGTV, it's for longer video format. So if you see something in your feed that goes beyond, I think it's like 30 or 60 seconds, you'll often be asked to watch it in IGTV or Reels. IGTV, think of it as Instagram's answer to being like YouTube. Reels, Instagram's answer to being like TikTok. So
good trend here.
If we dig into, so we'll go into a little bit of the each one of those things in detail, but a little bit about content best practices. You don't need professional photography every time you post. Actually, we're kind of saying maybe keep it more authentic. Your feed, now there are exceptions. So for instance, if you're a photographer, your feed should, your grid should probably be professional. If you're like an interior designer or a very visual business, then you're going to want that more polished brand look for your images. But you can really do high quality images these days. And I'm not saying do not hire a photographer. Photographers are absolutely necessary for your brand, taking professional headshots, images for your website. But I also know that Instagram requires a lot of content. So in order to move fast, you can do high quality images on a cell phone. Instagram Live. I was going through Instagram last night. It's like more than 50% video, and Instagram Live is a great way to connect with your audience quickly. If you have a message that you're passionate about, something pops to the top of your head, maybe you are in that B2B business or B2C business where you're service based, but you have a lot to talk about. You may not have as many visuals, but you have a lot that you can talk about. So Instagram Lives are a great way to kind of go out there and give value added content, tips, and advice. Stories are a great way to show up at the top, and we love stories. If you're on Instagram and you're not using stories, you're leaving a lot to be desired. Instagram stories, a lot of people don't even go through the feed anymore. I find myself just popping through the stories if I'm just kind of catching up on my feed for the day, or I want to see what my friends are posting or businesses. I saw Buns and Bites posting a story yesterday on Chez Pascal's outdoor dining experience, and just things like that that really stand at the top of the feed. And I didn't even go through the grid while I was just catching up on those stories, so that gives you an idea there. In terms of TV, that's going to be your longer format. I don't know if you want to add in anything, Nicole, in terms of the best practices there.
Well, so in terms of, the only thing I wanted to add was when it comes to stories and lives, the interesting thing for lives is it actually pops up in front of your stories. And a lot of times people will get a notification that you're going live. So it's a really great way if you do have an announcement, or like Alicia and I rant every once in a while. It's a wonderful way to get on there and get people's attention who maybe normally skip your stuff because you're at the end of their stories. So stories is built on engagement. And so the more that someone engages with your story, when you post a new story, you continually pop up. And so if you're trying to reach people that you don't normally reach, or you just feel like you have something really important to say, it's a great way to move your profile and your brand to the front of their feed.
User-generated content. Let's talk about that. So maybe you're not a super visual business, or maybe you are, but there's user-generated content. You'll see it abbreviated sometimes as UGC, is people tagging your product or tagging your business. Maybe it's you, if you are service-based, a great Instagram opportunity is you just signed somebody on for a new insurance package, or you help them with their mortgage or their real estate closing, or you are their real estate agent, whatever it may be. Get a picture with that person or ask them to put it on their Instagram and tag you. When you are tagged, you will get an alert and you can share that content on your Instagram. It's a lot easier for businesses like restaurants and things like that because people love to post food pictures. So you'll see a lot of user generated content in the food and product industry, but it's not impossible to do for service based. Long form posts and short form posts. So it depends on how much you have to say. Sometimes short and witty is the best way. I don't have a preference for either, but sometimes memes, they just come with a short and little witty post, but then there's long format posts. So where you're talking about something in depth. So not as long as a blog, but maybe an intro to a blog, maybe an explanation as to why you wrote this blog, why this blog matters. And getting people to that blog, I'm going to skip down here to the link tree, is in your profile, you can put only one link. And so a link tree, it's free. You can actually just Google link tree, and it will allow you to segment the top links you want people to go to, instead of just saying, go to my website and click on the blog. That's kind of like cumbersome and not that user, it's not that user friendly. So saying, click on the link in my bio to see my blog, and then you just boom, have the links there, right to the blog, right to your shop now page, right to your call us page, whatever it is, but Linktree is a great way to do that. Going back to hashtags, unless you have a ton of followers, you do have to use hashtags. It's a bit of like an Instagram snob thing. Some people don't want to use hashtags because they feel like it waters down their brand, but hashtags are a great way to pick up new followers and reach new people. So people on Instagram, say you're planning a wedding or you're just really interested in, what's happening in Rhode Island. So people can follow a hashtag. So for instance, wedding planning RI, hashtag wedding planning RI. I could follow that. And every time I'm in my feed, I now not only see people who I already am following on Insta, but I see content that is related to that hashtag. So find relevant hashtags that are going to, resonate with your audience, and obviously keep them authentic to what you are actually posting. Don't try to like trick Instagram and say, hashtag Rhode Island food when you're not food, stuff like that. Nicole, a little bit more about hashtags.
I actually think we have a whole slide on it.
Great. Okay. So setting it up, Nicole, do you want to go through this one?
Hold on one second. All right, so we actually have a few slides here on your profile. So account setup, we'll go high level on your profile and bio, your handle, which is your @ for anybody who's not sure what we mean by handle, your picture, best practices, account types, Linktree, and analytics.
Okay. Yes, we do go into detail here. So back to your bio. I don't even know how many slides we have. So keep me on track, Nicole, if I need to
All right,
speak
you
up.
got it.
Just, yeah. So profile, this is Hometown Poke. Love Hometown Poke. Becca over here on the, I think it's Providence, like the east side. But her profile, what we love about it is it's clear, it's fun. It shows you what you need to know. They're a restaurant, so things like hours, a little bit about the restaurant. So, 2019 best new restaurant, a clear link. They're not using Linktree, but that makes sense for them because they're just trying to get people to order food mostly, or get people to the website. So as a restaurant, it's a much simpler transaction to get people to the website, order now. You only get 150 characters up here, so use that well. We prefer your profile picture always be your logo, or if you are an entrepreneur, coach, lifestyle photographer, then maybe a picture of yourself. Real estate agents, pictures of yourself tend to do well in those industries. But in terms of other industries, there's really no reason to change it from your logo. You want that brand presence. Your handle should be close to your business name as possible. Obviously, just like getting a website domain, sometimes you're limited to what's available. But if you're a local business, simple solution, just pop RI at the end or something like that. So if Hometown Poke was not available, Hometown Poke RI or something like that you could do. Anything else, Nicole, here?
Yeah, so I just, in your description, if you have important information that needs to be conveyed as quickly as possible, so especially restaurants, retail, anyone with like working hours, put your hours and your address up there, please, 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 please. It's so frustrating to go to an Instagram, profile and not be able to figure out anything about the business unless you go somewhere else. And a lot of times they're not linked properly, so. So here we have just examples of sort of how to take your bio and make it into something concise and compelling. So on the left, we have Brittany, who's a local micro influencer and a friend of the Spark. And she is a photographer, but she's also a hot yoga instructor at Rhode Island Hot Yoga. She has a profile for her loft. She also has a couple of really awesome dogs. So you can see that she does a lot of different things, and she puts that right out there for everyone. And then she also writes a lot. So her blog is actually her, her link in her bio is actually her blog. She also leaves her email in there so that you know how to get a hold of her.
Yeah. And then a very different type of bio is Plant City, where they have more of a sentence structure, but both do a really great job just explaining who they are, highlighting what's important. It's 150 words. It's not easy. So get someone to look it over and bounce it off with them, because sometimes we're so inside of our own heads at like what we think we should put out there that we miss an important piece of information. And then the last thing that we wanted to point out is the highlights. So that lives underneath your profile. Those are the stories, and you can store your stories in the highlights after they expire. But brand it. I lean towards brand it. Some people don't put covers on them, but I like the look. I think it's clean and it's professional.
It's so much nicer. And it, like Alicia said, it just makes it feel more complete that way. And it's not, it doesn't have to
make those in Canva for free.
Oops, I think some stuff got cut off here, but that's okay.
This is Linktree. I don't want to go into too much detail, but it's an example of what we were talking about before. So again, this is just an example from their website. You can link what's important to you instead of just linking your website and then leaving someone to their own devices to kind of like navigate through your website to find that particular page you were talking about in the post. Because as we know, you cannot put links in your post on Insta, making it harder.
There are some other options to like beyond Linktree, things that you can do, but they do require a little bit more work on your part. So if you're tech savvy, setting up a landing page that goes to your links like Spark has is absolutely doable. Or you can change out the link every time you need to convey another link to your audience. But
that is true. I see people who change their links out. I'm lazy. I probably would forget, so we recommend Linktree. Another important thing. So if you have Instagram currently, you're using Instagram, make sure you are a business account if you are a business, because you're going to want to have greater depth into your insights. I think even personal profiles get insights, but as a business, you should be logging in once a week and checking how much activity is happening, what posts are working. This is all part of your marketing strategy, not just to go out there and just keep throwing stuff out there to see, producing content, but looking back and seeing what's working. So when are your followers most likely to be online? How many accounts are you reaching on a regular basis? How much did your followers grow, and what content are they engaging with the most? I would say are the main things you should be looking at. Instagram only gives you a 7-day look back unless you connect to like a third-party tool like Sprout Social or something that is paid, I believe. You don't get to collect your analytical data beyond the 7 days. Is that correct, Nicole?
I believe that is still correct. So yeah, Sprout Social, Later, and Planoly tend to be some popular options.
All right, the grid. There's a lot on this one. So things to keep in mind that we'll cover are visuals, filters, authenticity, and hashtags. Or the slide thing. There we go. All right, so the grid. Whoops, I don't know why it's moving. There we go, back to the grid. So the grid can look like anything you want, but think about it before you just start posting. So how do you want your brand to convey? Are you light and airy? Are you fun and colorful? Are you service-based, and is it going to be mostly people that are going to be in your feed? These are two really visual brands we follow. I just ordered my Aster candle this week, a new one. And on the right, we have, I think it's Blakely Interior Design. So obviously they have a lot going for them being visual, but what I do love about Aster is she has candles, and I think, she has like maybe a dozen, and she finds a way to produce, so she doesn't have just 12 pictures. She has a way to produce multiple pieces of content around the same dozen products or so. So they're, just looking at other people in your industry is a great way to get ideas on what people are doing and how they're making this content into multiple pieces of content. This is a great example too. You can see on the left, Trillium, a beer company in Boston. You can automatically see the visual is more of a darker tone with their beers really standing out. On the right, we have this woman who has a lifestyle blog and Insta, and she has a light and airy, she calls it. She even has a filter that she uses, but you can automatically see just like the differences here in color. And so that's what you really want to think about if you want that branded grid. Now, also to point out on visuals, this woman on the right, so the person on Trillium on the left has beer, and they have made it into a whole feed of different pictures. And the person on the right has a 1,200 square foot house, yet she has, I want to say, like almost 1 million followers, and she finds a new way to post something in her house like every day. So it can be done. You don't need a whole array of products. You don't need to have professional photography every single day. Just getting creative. Does it take time? Does it take thought and effort? Yes, but anything that brings results basically does. We're not the marketing company for you if you think that results come overnight. So Patsy is our friend here who is a lifestyle blogger, and I think she's working on her podcast right now, Nicole. But she, on the left, you can see she doesn't have a product. She has no beer candle or interior design visuals to put out there. Yet she has a really great feed where she's featuring herself. She's featuring her friends. She's featuring her lifestyle because she is her brand. And this could work for a service-based person as well. So a real estate agent, although you do have great houses you could feature, featuring yourself. Anybody who's in, insurance or like finance, featuring yourself because you are the brand. And then also she finds a great way on the right-hand side to play with some graphics and bring in titles of, I think these are like her blogs that she's featuring on the right-hand side, Nicole.
She did a special program, and I think these are all the featured speakers in the special program.
Yeah. And So a lot of businesses we work with are so hesitant to put their face out there, and I can't figure it out. We have this one, we love them, attorney firm, but I feel like we've been using the same pictures of them for 5 years, and I don't know why it's so hard for them to just take a picture. We ask every week, but we're getting there. So don't be afraid of putting your face out there. If you want to be on social, even if you are product based, you should probably still show up with your face, because people like faces on Instagram and social media. Who thought? So here's an example of yours truly. We're service based. We have nothing to show you besides maybe some boring charts of analytics and case study results. Who wants to see that? So what do? We feature our faces, we feature our team, we feature our lives, we feature products we love, things about the community we love. Nicole, I don't know if there's anything else you kind of want to point out about non-product based business.
Yeah, so I think for non-product based, it's just really important to actually, for both, like you hit on the featuring your faces. It's just a really important reminder to everyone that it's not just the people, it is the people. And that's why the algorithm prefers it as well. And so if you get in the habit of just posting banners or just posting, your custom content, your, photographs that you've taken, you're actually going to miss out on a lot of activity, engagement, and reach, because if people aren't looking at your posts and they're not reacting to them, then the algorithm is going to downplay it. And so it is actually super imperative that you show up at some point, on the regular, on your on your Instagram profile, which is why the Spark shows up so much. We have to be out there. So like it says, especially if you're in a service-based business, you are building trust. You are building a relationship with people, and you're not going to do that through banners. You're not going to do that through, graphics. You're going to do that by that face-to-face relationship. So.
Absolutely. Especially now when everything is digital, right? Like we can't even see people in person as much. So put your face out there. So the grid, the feed, and authenticity. Let's talk about that. So being yourself, social media is a great place to be you. Let your personality come through, whatever that may be. You don't have to be humorous. You don't have to be cute. You just have to be you, and it will work if you just truly can put your message out there in an authentic way. So we did feature a couple brands that we love, RI Food Fights. And this picture isn't even this picture of a hot dog charcuterie board. Like what is that? It's not that great of a picture. Honestly, in the food realm, I would say this falls on the lower end of appealing food image wise, but it's a hilarious caption, and it got a lot of reaction. So it's not just the visual, it's what you have to say that goes with it. On the right, we have, who is that? Oh, it's RI Food again. Ugly Christmas sweater shirt contest, named the best Christmas gift by us. So there you go. He's just fun, and you can tell he enjoys actually doing Insta. Hashtags. Do you want to go into a little bit more about hashtags? How do you use them, etc.?
Absolutely. All right. So hashtags are super important for organic reach on Instagram. You will probably not be found unless you use like an influencer type relationship, which is that's a whole other workshop, guys. But if you don't use some hashtags, you're definitely not going to be found. And like Alicia mentioned early on, there's a bit of a snob situation with hashtags. You'll find that the larger accounts don't use them, or you'll hear your kids or your, just really like hipster type people maybe saying, oh, poo-poo on hashtags. If you don't use hashtags, nobody's going to find your content. That is how Instagram is set up, is that people follow hashtags, people follow in their search when they are really interacting with certain types of content, and that content uses similar hashtags, it shows up there. So it's really imperative that you start to think about your hashtags and hashtagging your posts. And what does that mean? Obviously we've got Wright's Bakery here, and the picture is cookies, and they have their branded hashtags of Wright's Dairy Farm and Wright's Bakery, Rhode Island. all a branded hashtag is it's not like you have to go out and get a trademark, because you're not going to. It's just a hashtag that probably has your name in it, or is something that you use on a really regular basis, and it hits the mark for you. So if people are really interested in something that you do, like you have a product or a service and you can tag your name with it, using a hashtag with like hashtag Slocum, Slocum Insurance or Slocum Realty. That was a fail. It's something that people will find you by. And the other hashtags need to be a balance between what's going on in the picture and what people are actually searching for. So you can see that, on the Little Bita, so she's an awesome mobile cocktail bar. And she started a few years ago, and she makes some amazing cocktails. But you can see that she has, her cocktail stuff, but she also says like drink better drinks, foodies art. She sort of plays with like virtual party. She plays with those hashtags a lot. And the other thing you might notice in this image, and the reason that we chose these two, is because you've got a space between all the hashtags on Wright's Bakery, and you don't have any spaces on Little Bita. That choice is yours. There's no difference to the algorithm. There's no difference to usage. So if you want to switch to the next slide, I can talk a little bit of numbers with hashtags, and then we'll move on. So searching your hashtags and storing your hashtags. There's a couple of caveats. So searching your hashtags is really important. Like it said before, you do want to make sure that as best you can, you're balancing your hashtags between 150 and 150,000 hits, which is the little number underneath where like it says Rhode Island photographer, and then it says 89.2K, 82.9K. Got it. That is how many posts out in the Instagram world have that hashtag on it. Ideally, you'd want to see more. In order to use that hashtag, you'd want to see around 100,000. The reason being that you can get lost in the mix. But if that hashtag is important to you, then you want to make sure that you use it. The reason you don't want to go over 1 million is because it's likely that there are much larger accounts using that information, and it's rapid fire, and you'll get missed. So anything with Insta in it is not going, you're very unlikely to actually get seen that way. And a lot of times when you Google those hashtag, I need hashtags for this subject, and they give you the bank of copy paste hashtags, those hashtags are not solid enough. They don't have the right mix. So just be careful using them, use them for ideas, but make sure you're checking. The way to check is just in the search, hit hashtag Rhode Island and see what comes up, and it'll tell you you can either hit top or tags, and it'll tell you there. On the other side, storing your hashtags, those hashtags that you do use regularly and work for you, make sure you save them somewhere, but do not get in the habit of just copying an entire bank of hashtags and putting them on your post. Instagram hates it, and you will actually lose reach and not reach the people that you're trying to get a hold of. So make sure you're varying your hashtags with every post.
Yeah, it's 9:34, so I just want to throw that out there. So stories. I think we should focus on this one out of the 4 things right now. And the reason being is that stories have taken off, and Reels have not quite caught up to TikTok, and Instagram TV has not quite taken off like YouTube, obviously, but stories are on fire. So ways to use stories are basically little clips of content throughout the day. Here we have a client that, we have a good example of an event they were having. It's not the prettiest picture, so we didn't want to put it in the grid. So we featured it in the story. This is user generated content. You can see here in the middle, 2 people who tagged them. So you have to be looking at your Instagram on a daily basis and making sure you're catching this stuff so that you can reshare it in your feed. It's a lot of work. Yes. Is it worth it? Yes. On the right-hand side, I'm a go-to for the boomerangs and the time lapses. They're just really easy content to produce. So those are like little quick examples of how you can use stories, but also don't be afraid to pop in and do a quick, straight to the camera, just speaking and featuring yourself, creating stories. So I'm not going to walk through all the elements of creating a story, but what you should know is that you have these creator tools. So if you are doing a static image, you just can pop that static image in, and you have these tools at the top that are going to allow you to put overlays with text, hashtags. You can link at a certain point, and then you can search for things too. So on the right here, if you were trying to show an emotion through a static image, you can just search like Uh-huh.
or a GIF, not just a static image. So like you're trying to create some movement to get people's attention.
Yeah, whenever possible, doing motion is preferred. I think if you're just starting out and you just want to play around with stories, you can do static. It's easier. So static is just a picture, but motion is always preferred. Um, and we can answer any questions on this. You can post to Facebook and Instagram, which we like. We recommend just doing both. Why not? Instagram TV is longer format video, and so it's essentially Instagram's answer to YouTube. It's designed for mobile. Almost, I don't even know what the percentage is, but I would say 99% of traffic on Instagram or something like that is mobile. So just to keep that in mind if you
All
are
that,
producing. Mhm.
all that means is that in IGTV, you tend to watch straight up and down, whereas on YouTube you would hold your screen horizontally. So I
Yeah.
just want to make sure everybody's on the same page.
Yeah, so if you're producing videos, keep that in mind that you want to produce it for that format. Reels. These are like the TikTok 15-second fun little challenges, um, dances, things like that. I don't know if anybody here uses TikTok, but what we're seeing, and I just read an article on this yesterday, is that most people will produce the content natively on TikTok and then reshare it to Instagram Reels versus the reverse way. So we do predict that Reels will stay, but TikTok will be the main way that people are generating content for their Reels. TikTok is also here to stay, which is a whole nother workshop as well. Instagram shop. So if you do have products, you're going to want to make sure to connect your Instagram shop so that your products can be tagged. You've probably seen it in bigger brands, but it's when you hover over the picture and you here we go. You can see the product featured right there. So this is a local brand. This is, I think, Pinky's Wear. So you can see when you click on it, you'll be able to open the products up right in Instagram and have direct kind of pricing and information.
There's actually
I
a
don't,
GIF on the next slide that shows it off.
I'm sorry.
There's actually a GIF on the next slide that shows it off.
Perfect.
So hopefully it works.
Okay.
Okay.
This is how you would set it up in the back end. It is something you could Google how to set up my Instagram shop if you're, I don't expect you to follow this right now, but it shows you. Huh?
I expect you to get it out of this. This is it.
Yes.
That's all you know.
But if you see here, that's how it would work in a real, like people scrolling through and being able to hover over, and then the product will show up. But you have to set it up in the back end, which takes a little bit of time, but it's worth it. All right. So keys to Instagram growth, which is probably what everybody is asking. How do I get Instagram followers? Nicole.
Okay. So number one is consistency. You don't necessarily have to post every day, but you will see the best results if you do. Understand that's a huge undertaking. So instead, as long as you remain consistent. So if you're going to post, I would say no less than twice a week. Make sure that you do post twice a week, and you try to like post on the same days every time. For some reason, that works really well with the algorithm, and people sort of expect it when they see you every certain number of days. But again, you're going to see the most growth and the best growth if you're posting every day. The other one is obviously your content. So there's another slide with just a couple of best practices right after this one that talks about like making sure that you know what your audience wants. Again, high quality images don't necessarily mean that they have to be professional. It just means that they can't be blurry, unless that's your thing. And we can talk about that privately at another time. Also understanding the content that your audience is actually looking for from you, making sure that you provide that kind of content and you give them an opportunity to engage, and you are actually engaging with the app. So one thing that we didn't land on is when you post, you want to make sure that you are actively going in and using the app on a daily basis. You will be directly rewarded for this. We have actually seen evidence that if you post and you can spend time up to a half hour after posting in the app, you will see a direct benefit to the amount of reach that your post gets. And the sooner that you're interacting with people as they comment and everything, the more likely that you will get further reach out of that post. I will say there has been some, I wouldn't say controversy. There's just a few social media managers out there that are like, oh, it doesn't matter as long as you're going in every day. That's probably somewhat true, but just make sure that you are going in every day after you post and interacting with the people who are interacting with your post.
Yeah, I mean, like, it just makes sense from like, even if it's not like, I think the algorithm definitely is at play. Instagram is tracking how much time you spend in the app and sees you engaging and using the app as it should be. Because think about it, if we all just went in and posted our sales pitches and then left the app, what would be the purpose of the app? So Instagram definitely wants that engagement, but just from a common sense standpoint. So if you're a business and you go out and comment on other businesses and, nice things, don't be a troll, but like if you see a restaurant featuring a new dish, like, oh, can't wait to get there and try it. Now, everybody who has liked that or comments on that will see your brand engaging. It's literally free advertising. So, go like causes that you support as a business, comment on other local businesses, feature other local businesses. But that is the key, is engaging on Instagram, because it is the only channel right now for businesses to go out and engage. On LinkedIn, you can do so as a person, your business profile. No. Facebook, you have to wait for the traffic to come into your page as a business. You have to wait for someone to engage with you. But as a business on Instagram, you can directly message people. Don't spam people, but you can start a conversation with people as a business, or commenting on their stuff, supporting other businesses, starting that organic conversation, being social. So I think that is one thing we see businesses do a lot, is just post, and never engage.
100%. Yeah.
All
And
right.
I think that's where we say, like, yes, it's bad. It's really great for B2C, but there is opportunity for B2B, especially if you need distribution, or you need like connection, and you mainly connect with a certain type of business, especially one that does well on Instagram. You can get in there and start to get your face out there, get your brand out there, and it's great for brand lift and personality. And there's just so many things. So just real quick, because I know you're all thinking about it. So best practices. The number one, again, post frequency. So post at optimal times, or at least at this same frequency every week. Stay on top of Instagram changes and updates. Just know what they are. You don't need to run and chase after everything that comes up. Like we said, Reels, probably isn't going to beat out TikTok anytime soon, unless they make some major changes to it. But it's good to know that it's there. And if it fits your brand, you can use it. It does take a while, so be aware of that, to put together one 15-second clip. Telling those visual stories. It's all about the visuals. It's all about the storytelling, and using hashtags to get discovered. So don't ignore your hashtags. Make sure you know what you're doing with them and have a plan. So I think that opens us up for questions.
And feel free to type them in the chat too.
Probably easier.
If you're shy, you can email them to us later. But I do have to say that no question for Instagram is a bad question. We learn new things every day as we're using Instagram. The algorithms change, everything does change. So any question is a good question. I'm just gonna make sure I get people's Instas over here in the chat so I can like follow everybody back.
I think you can save the chat.
Oh, I can, okay.
So Allie's asking if we offer tutorial services on setting up an IG account.
On setting it up, we don't have like a tutorial for that right now, but we're happy to walk you through. We do like a free discovery call, so complimentary discovery call to kind of give you some of the basics. But if it's, if you have a specific question, happy to answer. Some of the basic stuff, is really easy to answer quickly.
Thanks, Samantha. Samantha dropped a discover and analyze hashtag site that she uses for Slocum.
Oh, nice. We'll definitely share that with everybody.
Okay, so Sarah says, I have always heard the 1/5 rule of 1 product picture versus 5 personal pictures, more so for like, I think MLM business versus retail settings. So what are our thoughts? And again, I think it goes back to your brand. I think in sort of an MLM, setting, you become your brand so much more than some other settings, that it is important, because the idea is that you are displaying what that MLM has done for you. And so that it doesn't surprise me that that's the recommended rule. Again, it's about putting the content out there and seeing how people are reacting and engaging. And so, there's no hard and fast rules, because people are people. We all appreciate different things, but there are, obviously some things to think about with the algorithm, and with something like, something like an MLM. It makes sense to me that that's the rule. That's what they're telling people.
Yeah.
Anything to add?
Endorsing the product, pictures of you endorsing the product is key. Love IG, but one thing I can't stand is if someone shares one of your posts onto their story, it doesn't notify us, the business, unless they additionally tag us in their story with the symbol @ any other. Oh, it doesn't in your messages. I think it should. If someone shares from the grid, you can turn that. If someone shares one of your posts from the grid and that is not what you want, I think you can turn that feature off. Is that what you mean, Monica?
What I mean, well, like say I posted something yesterday, they share it onto their story, but I won't get the notification unless they additionally like tag our business in it. Is there a way to? I don't.
I have to double check. I actually am not sure off the top of my head. Alicia?
Okay.
Yeah, I know if somebody like in messages, in your DMs, you'll get a notification if they're tagging or sharing or commenting on the story, but the grid, I know the grid is different, so we'd have to look at that, because
Yeah.
do you not like when they do it, like, or
No, I mean, I love when people share our posts, but unless we're following them, like I miss it. Because
I think we're stepping into like social listening territory where sort of, and you could probably do that. But I think like with social listening, sometimes it can get a little pricey. So it may be, it may be worth looking into. If you want to send us an email, we will dive a little bit further into that and see if there's another way to kind of keep track of that. The other thing would be just training people to tag you. So saying like, hey, tag us and we'll shout you out on our IG or in our stories or something. So there's a little bit of that going on. So definitely follow up with us on that one.
Okay.
So Amanda says, if you started contributing to a business Instagram without a branded grid, should you delete previous posts or post new posts to develop a new branded grid over time? Don't delete your posts. If you delete your posts, you lose that, you lose sort of any analytics that you have built there, but you can hide your posts. So you can archive things. And so you'll see that what Spark does is when we post, for holidays that come every year, Veterans Day, Memorial Day, things like that, we'll post about it and, shout out, but then we might archive it later because it doesn't really go with the rest of our grid. Or if there's a post that went out and we're like, well, it performed really well, but we kind of still hate it, we'll archive it. So I wouldn't say that you necessarily like don't delete and start over, just start, building that more, whatever it is that you're thinking, start building towards that. And you can make slow changes, or you can just cut it off and just move right to the next, thing. There's really no wrong answer here, as long as your audience, is ready for it and you're ready for it too.
Tisha has asked, is there any difference on using Facebook Business Suite to schedule an IG post or directly posting within IG? We recommend posting in real time on any social app whenever possible, but especially with Instagram and Facebook. They are tracking that, and we do see a difference when we post in real time or using the Facebook Instagram scheduler over third-party tools. Obviously, though, in an ideal world, we would all have time to do that every single day in real time. We do not. So if you have to use a scheduler, maybe make a deal with yourself to do like 50-50 or one scheduled a week and then one in real time. Because don't forget too, when you do the real time, you're in the app, and that's giving you points. That's giving your profile points for being in the app and actually using it. And then after you do that real time post, maybe it's when you're having your morning coffee, like poke around and see what your what's in your feed and what you can comment on and like and engage with.
Awesome. Sam is dropping a lot of really great links, so we'll make sure that we share those.
Yeah, that's a good link too.
Sorry, I don't know if you go by Sam or Sam.
Sorry, guys.
Rachel, the question.
These are all
Don't
ones that
apologize for that. Thank you.
Exactly. Anything to help everyone.
So something like that is, I haven't set it up yet, because I'm always at home. But once I am starting to be like out and about, I'm probably gonna set it up, where it's probably gonna be something like, you know, Slocum and then Nick Slocum team. So then that way they're separated because they're both different audiences. But that way the hashtags are saved and then I don't have to think about it. I can just type in what it is and then it'll automatically populate.
Awesome. Yeah, I
Yep.
love it.
Make sure to switch them up and you're good. So on each post, like a variation. Rachel has a question. She says it's easier to ask out loud.
Yeah, hi. So I have a question about when you archive posts. So I'm an artist, so I don't fit into a lot of your categories as far as, you know, some of my content is obviously very easy. I'm just going to post paintings and stuff like that. But I have a lot of posts and have not been very good at Instagram. So I don't have a lot of followers. Does it hurt you when you have a ton of posts? Should you be kind of archiving some of them so you don't have so many, or does it really not matter and do I not care? Does that make sense? Like when I say don't understand, when I first started, I don't know when I started, I didn't even do hashtags. So I was like, I don't even know what this is. So do I archive those or are they not even like, does it not matter?
Well, so when you say, so I'm guessing that we're talking about like a couple of things like the coolness factor of Instagram. There's sort of like a, you know, posts to followers to following ratios.
Yeah, does that matter?
Yeah. So it doesn't, I would say that it only matters a little. But if you had stuff that you feel, you know, maybe, you know, you have art that has sold or that is no longer available for some reason, you know, it may be worth it to archive it. Or if you want your grid to be super, you know, just art based, but every once in a while you post your face and then archive it later. There's like a lot of different reasons you could archive, but I think at the end of the day, the only people judging when they land on your feed and they're like, you know, oh, this person has 400 posts, but only 56 followers. That's so lame. Are people who, do you really want them as followers anyway?
Okay. That was kind of my attitude, but I didn't know if that was hurting me. So
No, I don't think it's hurting you. I think it would be a great way to repurpose content though. Like, so if you want it to not have the repetition, like take posts from before and then like reshare them, you could do that. So like say your follower count went up and you want to take like one of your favorite pictures or paintings and like reshare it, you could do that. Side note for like your industry, a really cool idea is to take one painting could literally be like 6 pictures because you could have like you could share multiple pieces of the painting and then I would archive those later on. So
okay.
Yeah, it's like a split. There's apps that'll help you do that where they split.
Yeah, I've seen those. Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
It can be a fun way to get people's attention. All right, so Monica has another question. So IG getting rid of total likes on posts. So we found out that right now it's optional. So we don't know for sure if they're going to go through with it being like non-optional, and what's happening is overseas, I think especially in Australia, it actually was really popular to, they basically made likes no longer visual. So there's not that sort of popularity contest to it. You can still like a photo and you'll still know how many people are liking your account because Instagram realized that influencers are, you know, part of their bread and butter, and there's a lot of money flowing. So they didn't take it away completely because it's a way that influencers prove their value, which is a whole conversation on vanity metrics. But so right now, and I don't know if it's actually launched in the US yet, but it's come out that it will be launching, and you'll have the choice at first. So we're not sure if they're going to force a change at any point in the future, but it may be that you might be able to hide likes in the future. And the reasons for that could be numerous. It could be to lose that popularity contest feel. It could be that you just you feel like it just cheapens your grid, cheapens your look. there could be any number of reasons to hiding likes if you wanted to, but you'll probably still get analytics based on likes and saves and things like that.
Okay,
Hello.
I think we have about 3 minutes. If anybody has another question or anything, we will be sharing this recording. And the chamber also is in its infancy in using Instagram. So our handle is at Central RI Chamber. So please go over there and follow, and we will follow you. And does anybody have anything else that they want to ask?
I just popped your handle into the thing. So
Thank you.
Amanda had a last minute note here. Yeah, I would say everything there. I'm just reading real quick. The grid is branded with business theme. Yeah, make those pictures clearer, cleaner. They don't have to be professional or, anything like that. But, make sure that they're cleaner than the stories. The stories you can do a little bit more authentic and off the cuff. I don't want them like blurry or dark because then people won't engage with it, but it doesn't have to be as professional. And the highlights, specific topics that do not fit in the grid. Yeah, highlights are also a great way. Say you're service-based and you have multiple services. All I can think of is
we do a whole
yeah.
strategy on like highlights and stories and how to build it and everything. That we had to cram as much as we could into this conversation. Byron, I will come back to yours real quick because Elizabeth's just dropped. When you share someone's image, where does it end up?
So if I share it, it disappears. Like I don't see it. How do you get it to show up on your grid? Or does it not work that way?
So if you share it to your stories, it doesn't go into your grid. But if you use an app or something called Repost, then it'll go into your grid. There's a little bit more detail there. Maybe if you wanted to follow up with us, I can send it. I think the app is just called Repost. There's a couple of versions, but you have to like grab the link from their profile and drop it in. And we always say be careful with that because not everybody likes their content being shared off platform, like to somebody else's platform.
So just like it and comment is better.
And definitely if you love it, for some reason you want to talk about it in your stories, definitely do that. It's a little bit more widely accepted and expected. So,
Thank you.
And
I have
then
a question.
go ahead.
Oh, I just had a question following up on archiving. How long should you wait before you archive something? So like if you posted something that week, if you archive it, does it immediately take it out of like the stream of people viewing it?
I believe so, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it would. So I would probably wait, a couple of weeks, before removing it. It just depends on what it is and why you're archiving it. So
Okay.
And then Byron asked how he can help promote the Spark, and of course, we would love it if you would all reach out to us with your questions. Just if you know people that need help. You see an Instagram and you're like, man, I have friends who run retail or service and they really need some ideas. And we work with like lots of different brands that you wouldn't think would be on Instagram. So we're happy to have a conversation around that. So just, talking about us is great. Sending people to our workshops and to learn more about us is also awesome. So
Any brand can be on Instagram. So we've worked with some really, really visual brands like vodka and gin and stuff like that, but we're working with HVAC on Instagram now. So anything is possible because how do you feature ductwork on Insta? But yeah, any questions, we're always happy. Head over to our Insta. You can DM us questions or you can head over to our website. We're always happy to answer questions because we love talking about social.
And those numbers and addresses, please. So it's in the recording.
Awesome. So definitely reach out to us at Nicole@thespark.social, or you can actually call us. You can reach me directly at 401-400-0767. I have to remember that because that's my Google number.
Everyone. And join the chamber if you're not a chamber member.
Thank you for that plug. Just to wrap things up, thank you guys so much. Always fabulous. And we have another one coming up at the end of the month. So keep an eye out for that. It's going to be on Facebook and using digital ads and the importance of that and how to do that. So keep an eye out for that. We'll be promoting that as well. If anybody has questions for us, please don't hesitate to reach out. We did record this and we'll be sharing this. So if you didn't catch the slide or you didn't get the answer or write it down, don't hesitate to keep an eye out on our Facebook because we will be reposting it there for everybody to see and share. Anybody have anything else, Lauren?
All good. Can we just get one shot of everybody?
Are you
We
doing
lost
it?
a couple folks.
It's all right. We'll get as many as we can. All right, let's switch views. Are you still sharing? No, you're not. All right, here we go. All right, smiles, everybody. If you have your coffee, you can also cheer.
Look at all those copies.
All right, I got to mute myself because my thing keeps coming up. Hold on. All right, here we go. And now. Thank you. All good, team. Thank you very much. Thank you to our presenters immensely. And if you guys have any other questions, you know how to reach us. Thank you all. Have a great day.
Rachel, the artist, I have a Bob Ross color changing coffee mug I thought you might appreciate. It's pretty sweet.
Oh, well.